Have you ever heard the phrase, you can always make more money, but you can never make more time? In this video, we are going to be talking about some different tips, tricks, pieces of advice, and suggestions that I have for you as a brand new business owner working for yourself full time. If you are new to this transition or on your way to transitioning to working for yourself solely, and you're feeling overwhelmed by all the things that need to get done, and you're not sure how to spend your time or how to structure your schedule so that it works best for you, this is the video to watch. If we haven't met before, my name is Morgan, and I'm a physical therapist, and I make videos here on YouTube for other physical therapists and healthcare providers just like me who want to work for themselves and run a solo practice and just be doing your own thing instead of having to work for somebody else. And if you want to check out any more information on the different services and programs that I offer, you can check them out at morganmeese.com and find links for that down in the description below. So in today's video, I really wanted to talk about specific time and task management tips for new business owners, because this is something that I talk to a lot of my clients about, something that I continue to have to work on a regular basis. And it can be such like a difference between when you are working full time for somebody else, your schedule is set for you, there's already expectations put into place, and you know what you need to do because somebody else is telling you, versus when you are working full time for yourself, you're the person who makes up the structure, the schedule, you set the expectations, you decide when, where, what you're going to be doing, and it is challenging to try to do that on your own, especially I think if you are somebody like me with ADHD. And so with these tips, I really hope that it helps. So let's jump into a few things. Of course, I have my notes over here, so I'm reading off of those a little bit. So like I mentioned, in this video, I want to be talking about specifically either if you were working full-time for somebody else and now you're totally on your own in your business working full-time for yourself, or if you are currently working like PRN part-time for someone else, but you are trying to commit at least half of your, work schedule, your work time to working for yourself. That's the point of view that these tips will be coming from. So the first thing that I always want everybody to start with is like a blank weekly schedule template. And I show examples of this I think I've done a couple of videos now on like a weekly reset and planning, but I will usually pull up like a blank Google Calendar with nothing on it. And we just start by looking at the week, because you can take a look at the week and the days and the hourly breakdown all at the same time. And when you start to create good like weekly schedules, it helps you to build good habits for the long run. So we start blank slate. And then the first thing that you're going to put in are, of course, any other like work obligations that you might have. So whether it's another job, if you don't have that, great, you don't have to put that in, but go ahead and put that into your weekly schedule to get started with. And then the next thing that we are going to add in are the things that we want to be spending our time on. I have found that it's most helpful when you make like a written list, like a numbered list of the things that you want to be spending your time on. So for me, those are things like I would like to have a lunch break. Sometimes I have a nap break. I also want to be spending quite a bit of time working out. I want to make that a priority for me in my weekly schedule. I know that I need time to see clients. I know that I need time to do admin work. I know I need time to do content creation like this. And I know I might need time for like a few other like miscellaneous tasks, time for sales calls, things like that. So I'll make like a written numbered bulleted list of what I want to be spending my time on. And then I will also order them in terms of priority. So like me taking care of myself, me doing my workouts, those always come first for me. So I'll put those into my weekly schedule first, and those would become non-negotiables. So this is a concept that I'm sure you've probably heard before, but if not, when it comes to having non-negotiables on your schedule, those are things that you are going to do pretty much no matter what. Like barring an emergency, you're going to do them no matter what. So things like if you are working at another job that expects you to be there That's basically a non-negotiable, right? And when you are transitioning to working for yourself full time, one of the biggest just like mindset hurdles that I feel like I had to overcome was when I decided to do something for myself, whether it's like personal or professional related, but it's something that I decided I wanted to spend my time on. I had to commit myself to that time and what I said I was going to do in the same way that I would be dependable and committed to showing up to any other job. I think when you are working for yourself, because you're the one making the rules and also the one trying to follow those rules, it can be easy to let yourself like slide and be like, oh, like I don't need to go to the gym today. I don't need to make that video today. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I'll just do it later, because nobody else is going to hold you accountable to it. The only person who is yourself. And that level of like self accountability, I think, can be new for a lot of us who are accustomed to, whether it's from our job, our career, and having the external accountability of a boss and coworkers and patients and everything. And even going back to like being in school and college and also having expectations and rules placed on you from an external source. When you transition to working for yourself full time, you become that source and you have to hold yourself accountable to those things. And this is like a big mindset shift. I think that it is beneficial to take some time to mull over and think about, because I'll often hear from other therapists and other practice owners, we all want to work with dedicated, motivated patients who show up, who follow through on their exercises. And I really think it's important that your actions match those of the types of clients that you are looking to work with. Like if you want to hold your clients to high standards of like executing on their home exercise program, following through on the plan of care that you offered them, you also need to be somebody who can hold themselves accountable and follow through on the plan that you set out to do. Otherwise, it doesn't really match up. If you are constantly making excuses for yourself and not following through on plans that you put out for yourself, you can't really like turn around and expect your clients to do that if you yourself aren't willing to do that. So when it comes to like you deciding what your non-negotiables are on your schedule, that's the mindset that you have to approach it with. And every day when you pull up your calendar and see what you have on the agenda for that day, the non-negotiables, you have to follow through on them. And another place where like I'll see this come up too is, like you might have clients who no show for appointments. You might have clients who cancel last minute. You might have people like going back and forth as to whether they want to work with you. And it can feel like other people aren't being very respectful of your time. And what I want you to think about with this is that, like if you want other people to respect your time, you yourself also need to respect your time. And you have to set an example with that of following through on what you told yourself that you were going to do. Obviously, sometimes things come up, but it's about creating good habits over the long term of respecting your time and holding yourself accountable in the way in which you feel like is going to serve you the best and help you grow and expand your business. So I hope that makes sense, and definitely leave questions and comments down below if you have any or want to talk further about that. But so getting back to what we want to spend our time doing. Up top, we have our non-negotiables. Maybe, and it might even include like spending time with your family, with your kids, with your spouse, whoever. That's totally fine. If that's on your non-negotiable list, just make sure that it goes onto your calendar. And those are the first like category, is all the non-negotiable stuff needs to go into your schedule so that you know that you're going to do it and you always are making time for it. And then the other thing, so like the business items that we need to get to. Let's just say, for like the sake of this example video, we have time that we want to spend seeing clients. And let's say that we know that we want to be seeing 10 clients a week. We need to plot out on our schedule 10 appointment slots that we have available for those clients. And when it comes to scheduling clients, something that has always been very helpful for me, it may or may not be beneficial for you, but I think it helps to keep my brain the most organized, is I have specific days of the week, at least at the time of this recording. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are when I will see clients. Those are like all of my client days. Those are where all of my client appointment slots are. If somebody asks to see me or work with me, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those are my available days. Not available on Tuesday, not available on Friday, not available on the weekends. And that can be a really hard boundary to uphold at first, especially when you're first getting started and you don't technically have anything like going on those other days of the week. It can be hard to stick to that schedule, but I highly recommend it, because when you schedule yourself so that you are seeing clients like specific days of the week, and that's the only thing that you're doing on those days, it is a lot easier to like operate and see clients, because your brain is kind of staying on the same path and traveling down like the same avenue, whether it's with like working with client or working with patients in your practice, or if you are doing some other kind of client work. When your brain is just trained on this path of, I'm going to work with clients today, I'm not doing any admin work, I'm not making content, I'm not doing all these other things with the other hats that I wear as a business owner, it's going to be much more approachable and easier for your brain to keep up with things. That's been my experience so far. And so let's say you have these 10 slots, right? And maybe you want to split them up over the course of 3 days as well, where like Mondays, you can see 4 clients, Wednesday, you can see 3, Thursday, you can see 3. Those are your available slots. And so like if you schedule out all 10 and somebody else asks to see you, you would have to move them to the following week, even if you technically have an admin day available, which we'll talk about in a second. And that is something that like I have struggled with on more than one occasion, because I'm like, I am not doing anything else exactly, but you can't just bend over backwards anytime somebody asks to see you sooner than you technically have the availability for. So that's another thing to just keep in mind. So we have like 10 appointment slots, right, in the week in our schedule. And then the other part of the business is all of the non-client facing stuff. So this is like admin and operations stuff, sales, marketing. Those are like the 3 big ones that I can think of. Admin stuff is like responding to messages, is doing your documentation, doing your finances, kind of just computer work is how I think of it. Sales is doing any kind of, I would say, like networking, outreach, talking to potential clients, meeting up with other providers, things like that. And then marketing is going to be anything that has to do with like follow up with leads. That could also be sales, I guess. Following up with previous clients. It's creating content. It's making advertising, putting yourself out there to attract future clients, and also keeping track of your data on your marketing efforts. And so like all of that stuff needs to happen at some point during the week and during the month, of course, too. And you have to remember that aspect of things, rather than thinking that your schedule is only going to be made up of seeing clients. You need to block off time that is specific for admin work, sales, and marketing stuff. And for me, like I have found that this is helpful to do on Sundays and Tuesdays. Like I know that those 2 days of the week, I'm just going to be on the computer making things, or, doing all the computer work. I'm not seeing any clients. And on those days, I will also block off specifically the tasks that I'm going to do. Like today, I'm planning to make YouTube videos. As far as the amount of time that you might need, I would recommend starting with blocking out 5 to 10 hours a week for that stuff at like a minimum of 5. I think like a good place to start probably is 10 hours a week at least. If you have more time available, that's great. But at least that, just to kind of give you a ballpark of what I would expect somebody who is brand new to working for themselves full time, you'll probably be working at least 5, but probably 10 hours a week on non-client facing stuff, and probably up from there. But let me know in the comments like how you spend your time, because I think it would be interesting to talk about. And that brings me to the next thing, is using something to help you track your time. A couple of things here. I like to use a digital tool. It's called Toggle. I can show you guys what it looks like actually. So this is Toggle, and this is something that for people who are feeling like really overwhelmed and you're not really sure like what to spend your time on, where you're spending your time, things like that. I really like being able to track my time in Toggle and see how I am actually using my time. Every day when I'm working, I'll like clock in. I'll just like start my Toggle timer, and this is all only like active work time. So like if I'm taking a break, if I'm like laying on my phone, I'm reading, I'm eating lunch, I'm not clocked in. It's only when I'm actively doing work. And then where this is helpful, it comes into play is if we, for example, take a look at last month. Let's say I like, because for all of us, we're always in a place where we are looking for new clients. Let's say I'm like, I really think that I'm like putting a lot of work into things, and I am in a place where I still want more clients, but I'm not sure why I don't have more clients just yet. I can take a look at how I've been spending my time. And like there are different categories on this where I can see like, okay, last month I spent, 33 hours doing one-on-one client sessions. I spent quite a bit of time on admin stuff. And you can see here kind of too, this isn't like exactly like a 1-to-1 ratio with 33 hours of client time and 41 hours of admin, but it's like kind of close, like just getting back to the example of like 10 hours a week of client time, maybe 10 hours a week of other like non-client stuff. But then I also had like 11 hours of marketing, an hour and a half of coaching for myself, like business coaching for me, almost 2 hours of networking, and let's see, 9 hours of sales calls. And so like this is really important to see. So I can see that I'm definitely getting on sales calls with people. I'm having conversations with potential clients, which is good. And to me, that means that the clients are coming. I just need to continue like working on my sales process, continue doing marketing. But if I were in a place where I had like zero time spent on sales calls, so like discovery calls essentially, or people making inquiries into your business, if I had zero time spent doing that, well, no wonder I don't have any clients. Like I'm not talking to anybody about becoming a client. So that can be really helpful to see. And then just like over time, you can, see how you're spending your time. Another thing that I really like is I know for myself, I can work about like 5 to 6 hours in a day. And that's like a good amount where I'm not exhausted. I'm not too overwhelmed or anything. But if I am clocking in like only 2 hours of work per day on like a routine basis, that's not enough. I'm not like putting enough effort into things if I'm wanting to grow my business. And of course it's different for everybody, but at least like that's for me, my example. But if I am clocking like 8, 9, 10 hours in a day, day after day after day, that's too much for me, and it's not going to be sustainable in the long run. So this is like a really good way for me to kind of like check myself and make sure that I'm like hitting the benchmarks that I want to as far as how much I'm working on my business, but I'm also not overdoing it. So I know this is getting like a little bit off track with things, but that's one of the ways that I really like using Toggle. That has been really helpful for me. So I just wanted to bring that up as well. And then I do recommend having at least one admin day per week. That's something that I recommend for everybody. So like if you're considering seeing clients, say Monday through Friday, I would really highly recommend making like Monday, Wednesday, or Friday an admin day so that you can take some time to work on the non-client facing stuff in order to continue to progress your business forward. Because if you don't make the time to do that, you're quickly going to like feel like you're drowning and you won't have time to get to everything. Something else that is helpful for me is when there are things that I don't want to do, like documentation. Instead of thinking about all the notes that I have to get done, I will use a timer like this that I will set for myself and say like, okay, I'm going to do documentation for 20 minutes. So I have a time cap of how long I'm going to be working on the documentation. And that's easier like for me to, I guess, agree with to myself of, okay, I can definitely just do this for 20 minutes and then I can be done. So for things that you don't want to do or you feel like you're having trouble focusing on, having an external timer like that that gives you a time limit where you can see like the light at the end of the tunnel where you get to be done with the thing can be really helpful. So that's something that I would recommend doing as well. So as we're wrapping up this video, as you're working full time for yourself, start with a blank slate of how you want your schedule to be and plot out your schedule, plan out your days in your week in the order in which things are a priority for you. Make certain things non-negotiables so that you have the time to dedicate to things that are important to you. And then make sure you have time on your schedule to both see clients and do non-client facing work. And as you are progressing in your business, make sure to stick to those time boundaries. Adjust them as you need to with whatever is going to best serve your business, but make sure that you are keeping track of where you're spending your time so that you can keep to those boundaries. And overall, like the way that your business is going to grow and succeed the most is if you are able to stick to the structure that you set out for yourself, pay attention to how you're spending your time, and making sure that you are creating consistency in spending the time on the things that are helping your business to grow the most. So I hope that some of these things were helpful for you. I know that it was like a little bit all over the place, but there's a lot to try to figure out when you are first getting started in a business. And it's something that you're going to have to take time to learn over and over and over again and constantly reflect with yourself about what is working best and what's not and make the changes that you need. Some of this planning stuff, I know for me, can be some of like the least interesting out of everything that I do. But the more that I do it, the more that I plan things out and take the time to reflect on what's going well and what's not, the more I have seen my business grow over time. So definitely recommend. And with that, please leave any questions and comments down below on what you thought of the different tips and pieces of advice that I shared in this video. If this is something that's helpful for you, give it a thumbs up and we can create more content around time and task management in order to help you grow and succeed in your business. And if you are a therapist or a healthcare provider and you are wanting to start and grow your own solo practice, please visit my website, morganmeese.com, and you can check out the services and programs that we have for business coaching and helping you to create the structure that you need in order to grow your solo practice and live life on your terms. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you on the next video.